Hi, everyone. It's my great honor to present this workshop paper with you guys. So the topic is an in-depth review of privacy concerns raised by the COVID-19 pandemic. I am Jiaqi Wang. I'm from Penn State University. So there are 4 parts I would like to share with you. The first one, we will review the human online activities in the COVID-19. The second part, we will try to discuss some like increasing privacy threats due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The third one is like after like the pandemic, there will be some potential or possible privacy risk. We would need to think about that. The last part, I will like to propose some like potential research directions about the pandemic related privacy issues, especially on the social media platforms. So let's come to the first part. So due to the COVID-19, most of people are required to work at home, work like remotely. So people are searching more interactions online. There is like a survey saying that the usage of like WhatsApp app increased like 40% since the COVID-19 started. And the Facebook usage increased like 37%. And WeChat and Weibo platforms usage increased like 58% since the COVID-19 started. So the interactions on the social media platforms is kind of different with the real world. So because the self-disclosure always say the privacy information can more easily be propagated, searched, saved, and even processed on social media. So that means that we say something online, or we post something online, and we friend others, we like retweet others, there will also be a history online. So, but in our real world, we say something, sometimes we forgot about that. So the data can be saved all the time on the server when we say something of like any behaviors in our social networks. So the second thing we would like to focus on is that the pandemic is changing people's sensitive and attitude to privacy, including what and how personal information can be disclosed. So different people have like different attitude or sensitivity to their privacy. For example, when I ask your name, you feel like comfortable. But when I ask your age, your like job, or some like family relative, you feel not so very comfortable. But however, people can say anything or would like to share their information during the pandemic on social networks. Like they feel like safe, or they would like to self-disclosure more information about themselves to get like treatment or get like suggestions. So in this way, more and more people feel like not so well sensitive as before when we talk about their own personal information. So a third thing is very special. That means that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the presidential election, they combine each other. For example, people can talk about their political stand, their location. That means like where I am and as a part of whom, and some family relative health information online as well. So that is very serious questions, especially when the presidential like election and the COVID-19 they happen together. So the last one is that so with the development of like the advanced data mining and machine learning techniques development, people can do a lot of like mining and prediction and classification across multi-social network platforms. That is very bad. So there are like several increasing privacy threats due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The first one is that the mass surveillance. Personal data like location, like the body temperature and the facial information, they can be monitored using like the cell phone, the traffic camera, and other sensors. And the government or the company can track human mobility, identify individuals with risk, and monitor the disease spread. So for example, some like United Kingdom and India, they will use like the smart city infrastructure to like monitor the social distance, and China can use some like cell phone application to locate people. And the United States, as we know, the big company, the Apple and the Google will provide a like a, how we say, it's like the tracing application for their mobile users. If you use like Apple, you use like Android, they will get all the information about you to just to help to control the like the pandemic. But on the other hand, they are using your data as well. So another thing is that some researchers state that the anonymized data is not always safe. That may release some like the location data, and they will like location some, they will release some like personal sensitive data, and we have no idea about how much data is shared and how they use the data safely. So the second issue would be the data usage across multi-platforms. So as we know that there are a lot of like released open data set related to COVID-19, and the people do more interactions and like have more online activities online. For example, they will create many medium social accounts, and they like do online shopping. So there are a lot of data can be collected, can be shared, and can be processed across multi platforms. That is very dangerous. So a researcher also explored that across those like domain sentiment analysis with training data, they combined like the Amazon and TripAdvisor to test on the data from Facebook and Twitter. So when the data can be aggregated together, there will be a huge like the dangerous things will happen to our users. So the last increase in the privacy threats would be the change of individual privacy calculus. That means that people can change their mind when they share their sensitive information. As I mentioned before, they are not so sensitive as before. So the people would more easily to sacrifice their private health status information to get suggestions and like pre-diagnosis or like contribute to what the government appeals during the COVID-19 pandemic. And also we can feel that the government and the company are trying to like encourage people to use some like the convenient tools to update their information and their like location, their health information as a like a contribution to the public good. So however, to my best knowledge, there are not enough official files to remind people about the individual privacy issues or broadcast the basic knowledge of data usage for people during the COVID-19 pandemic. That is very bad. So there will be a like a system overview, like how the government produce some like orders or suggestions, and the people will just share their like the payment data, their location data, their activity data to multiple like social media platforms like Instagram and Reddit and Twitter, and they will do data processing and sharing and something we don't know. So there will be some very serious potential privacy risk posted after the pandemic. For example, the first one is caused by the over-collected data abuse. So this pandemic actually promoted the development of e-commerce, like online education and social media platforms, or we say the smartphone applications and related some virtual services, for example, our Zoom, right? So, and the governments always say the companies could leverage contact tracing information to monitor and analyze the citizens' behaviors. Something happens in South Korea to the LGBT people. And those guys can identify the users based on the multiple social media. So for example, if we say, okay, there's like different images that can be gathered from the different social media platforms. I always say, for example, there is a real guy. His name is Jack. Okay, let me say Jack. So he has image 1 in social medium 1, image 2 on social medium 2, image 3 on social media 3. But if we combine the 3 images on different platforms, we can maybe refer to exactly, or we say very similar image of the real user Jack. So that is bad. So there will be another potential like privacy risk. For example, they will like the public privacy concerns and the social trustworthiness. So the debates and the law surrounding surveillance companies are at the front of many minds. And there will be a great possibility that the government will not delete the collected personal data or even continue collecting data without informing users. And some researchers argue that the government's actions do have a huge impact on social trust and the government's trustworthiness. And the temporal over like the disclosure data and the privacy data is gradually causing a strong public privacy concern and challenge the government's social trust as well. So finally, I would suggest like the 4 directions related to the privacy issues on social media, especially during the pandemic. So the first one is the self-disclosure interaction and the propagation. The second one is the public privacy concern and attitude tracing. The third one is mental health in the COVID-19 pandemic. And the last one is the prevention, prediction, and protection. So there will be some very interesting research topics and directions, especially when we consider the privacy issues and we consider the human being activities and we consider some like pandemic in the real world. And this is a reference. Thank you.